Yes, hello folks and welcome along live here. Big surprise on the Irish Rally podcast. Yes, welcome along. We're going to look back on the Cork 20 Rally with Jeff Case in just a few moments' time. A reminder, the show is in association with National Automation Limited. NAL.ie/products is their website, and FAC obviously being the umbrella that National Automation Limited is under. You can get in touch with us. We are live on YouTube and Facebook. We're not actually live on Twitter. We'll throw the link across onto it actually from YouTube in a couple of moments' time, maybe. But don't forget, you can get in touch with us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Irish Rally Pod, and subscribe and turn on the notifications for new episodes. That's right across the platforms we're live on, and indeed on Spotify and Apple when we get the show up a little bit later. So delighted to welcome along Jeff Case. How are you doing, Jeff?
How are you doing, Kevin? How are you?
Great to have you on the Irish Rally Pod. You've been a busy man over the last year and a half. I'd say you've seen more of the world than a lot of people during this pandemic. But how's things anyway? You're keeping well?
Yeah, good. Yeah, we've done quite a bit of rallying the last while, and nice to be back home rallying at home again. So good to get through that as well, you know.
Yeah, you certainly made up for a lot of people who had to wait the year and a half. But delighted to be back on home turf now out at the Cork 20 at the weekend. It was, of course, the first event we've had down the south of Ireland since what is it, February or March 2020. So lads were itching to get back. They got back, and you've almost been delighted down there.
Yeah, look, it was brilliant to see. One thing that was really great was just seeing the old faces, like, you know, we had masks on and things, but even just seeing people you hadn't seen in about 2 years, you know, just to even have the chat and the fun that comes with it. That's a good thing about Irish Rally, and, you know, you've all of the great people around, and it's really good. So, yeah, it was really nice to get back at it.
And obviously even sweeter to take victory alongside Mr. James Stafford in the national section. You know, hotly contested throughout today, but talk to us to I suppose, how you felt the day went in general from the get-go.
Yeah, great, brilliant to get the win. My first national win, so that was even sweeter, and with James as well, who's so talented behind the wheel of the Darien as well. So, look, it started off, we had a great shakedown, and that was a really good thing. The club put on a really good event. The shakedown was excellent, just good to get out and actually get back into things. You know, a lot of people haven't been in cars for a while. Just even get back into it altogether and call notes to a pace again, you know. So that was really nice to have that shakedown the day before. Again, the club did a great job. And then obviously with the rally, we had a plan and just try and stick to that and go steady and see how that would go. So yeah, no, the day went really well. We're quite lucky and in the very end up. So really nice to get the win.
So what was the plan? Are you going to be like Liam O'Callaghan now and not tell us about the secret? Or, you know, was there a kind of a clearer thing from the get-go?
Look, I mean, we want to be steady and just get through each event. That's always, you know, but you'd like to see where you are at all times. And James doesn't hang about. He knows he's he's a great pilot, and we went down just to be steady and get back into the groove of things again, where we left off the last time we were in the car together was Wexford, which we had won. And that was almost 2 years before. So just even getting back to see if we could get back to a pace and call, like, for me, calling back notes at the pace that he's at, which is important as well, that he's comfortable to go at that pace, you know, calling back some notes to him. And he's obviously a great driver. So the plan was, I suppose, to get to the end or get to first stage and see how we get on and then go from there.
And in terms of yourself, like, obviously you've been in R5 cars for a lot of, you know, definitely four-wheel drive anyhow for the last year and a half, and now you're back in Little Darien or whatever. So what was that adjustment like for you?
At the very beginning, it was tough because I do remember going out from the Park Ferme to drive out to Shakedown, and it was just a strange feeling being back in something so different. And the R5 cars obviously being a lot bigger inside, and they handle a lot different to a Darien, which, you know, we've an engine behind us. It's a lot different, put it that way. A lot more space inside. But once, as I said, like, once we got the shakedown under us, it's very comfortable. It's actually very comfortable being in the car with James, and obviously he's well able to pilot the car he's been driving for so long, you know.
Little shakedowns in general, that's something that, we've only become familiar with in the last couple of years, and it's been spoken about quite a bit. So how did you feel that kind of went? Did it serve a purpose, and is it something you'd like to see kind of on a lot of events?
I thought it served a great purpose, especially for this rally, just getting back into it. There was a bit of rain later, so it was a little bit greasy, and that was nice to just feel the different grip as to what was going to happen, how the car is going to move. There were chicanes in there. It was nice and representative, with fast and chicanes. So that was nice that they picked something that was so representative. Um, Obviously, yeah, shakedowns being something that's a bit new. I know Midland Club used to do a shakedown and probably still do, but
Cavan as well, I think, didn't they? Yeah.
yeah. So that was always good, and you learn some things in a shakedown that can just pop up with the car, especially mechanically and things like that. So you just have to, you know, try things out. And obviously, with the car that we were in, it was a sort of a different package to what we had in Wexford before, where we had we had a new engine, a KGP engine. So it was just getting used to everything, and that was great. The car was so good. The guys, Emmett, Watchhorn, and the guys looking after us, and they did a great job. So that was really good.
The usual suspects, of course, were your competition, Mr. Toner, Mr. Kiernan,
Yeah,
Christy Armstrong was knocking around, Richard Moffat, so to see off that kind of caliber makes it sweet as well, obviously.
super competition. Like, I mean, they're incredibly quick people, and when you see any of those names on the list, it's going to be a tough day. Just trying to keep up with them. So luckily, we were able to, get the times, and worked out quite well. Obviously, James did just a fantastic job, so that was really good. But yeah, they're obviously very quick men, and we've seen it before in other rallies we've done. We've been up against them, and they don't make it so easy. So first one back, just seeing those on the list, it was tough. At the very start, you don't know where you're going to be.
Did you get caught in a couple of stages, because I know there was blockages? So how many did you get a clean run at, Alec?
We got a clean run every single stage, and that was something. It was another credit to the club. We just drove up to every single stage, no delays. It was really good for us. It was really good just wherever we were in the pack. I know that there was some stage stoppage for some people, but no, we actually got every stage. And I suppose the only stoppages we had were when we had some spins and a couple of overshoots and things that we were just trying to tidy up. So that was but no, everything was tidy for us. It was really good.
That's all standard anyway, and I'm actually glad I didn't ask you to try and maybe do a podcast last night, because results were still changing up as far as last night. So in terms of international, Sam Moffat has been kind of bumped back up to third ahead of Josh. So I'd say brotherly love maybe wasn't a common theme last night, but yeah. So Callum Devine obviously got his first international win as well, which was massive for him.
Yeah, huge. And look, he's very talented and has all of the experience over the last year and a half. We've been out together rallying at a couple of different events, and he's going so well. So it was great to see him get the win. And obviously with everybody else there, just great, good event. And Callum got his win, the first international win, I think, as well. So that was really good for him and the team. It's so good.
Yeah, and just in regards to predictions beforehand, like lads said, in terms of getting, trying to see who's going to win this international category, like the guys who had match fitness, like Callum would have been one of those guys, and Marion Evans was busy as well. So that kind of proved to be, the outcome in the end, because the lads were biting for the victory come the business end, like.
Yeah, no, and that's it. Seat time is crucial, especially if you can be sharp. Just getting back into it, then everything's familiar the next time you go at it. So the guys have been doing different rallies around Europe, really, and it's shown then. And obviously everybody else as well have been pretty quick as well. So it was nice to see Callum get his international win for sure, yeah.
It's probably a good time to actually go down through the results. So just in terms of the top 10 international category, Owen Murphy 10th with Jonathan O'Mahony. You had David Guest in 9th with Jonathan McGrath. Ryan White and James O'Brien in 8th. Stephen Wright and Ger Conway 7th. Captain McCourt, a busy man over the weekend, which you might get to in a moment, with Liam Minehan alongside 6th. Daniel Cronin, Shane Buckley 5th. Josh Moffat, Andy Hayes 4th. Sam Moffat, Keith Moriarty 3rd. Marion Evans and Jonathan Jackson 2nd. And Callum Devine and Brian Hyde taking the international win. International, of course, yourself, Jeff, and James, and well done once again. Gary Kieran and Darren O'Brien 2nd. Damien Toner, Denver Rafferty 3rd. Richard Moffat, Dara Kelly 4th. Chris Armstrong and Michael Cody 5th. And I think that actually changed last night too, so we're definitely glad we didn't plough on and try to do it last night. Pádraig Egan and Thomas Ryan 6th. Jay Chauvelin, apologies, I don't know what the JF is. You probably do. Maybe you'll enlighten us on that. But Emma Brosnan alongside John Moran and Rutan O'Connor 8, Tom Holton and Stephen Reynolds 9th, and Sean Moran and Donald Balfe in 10th. We have the class winners as well, which will rattle on down through. Class 7, obviously, that's Roy White and James O'Brien. Class R4B, that's James Bowl and John McKay. We'll move on down to Class 9, Shane Quinn and Patrick Brides. Class 10, that went to Eamon Rudden and Brian Rudden. Class 11F, that's Kenneth Cullinan and Rob O'Regan. 11R went to Billy Nolan and Evan Downey. Class 12, that's Niall Fitzpatrick and Gary Fitzpatrick. 13R, that went to John Warren and Rutan O'Connor. Class 14, sure, look, we know, I'd say there's a lad on the show at the moment who might know who won that one. Then moving on down to Class 20, Tom Holt and Stephen Reynolds. Class 22, Casey J. Coleman, Adam Coffey. Then in the historics, moving back across to that, actually, just give us a moment. Neil Williams and Anthony O'Sullivan, Jack Brunton and Sean Brunton then won the junior. So nice to get through all the classes, Jeff, and that's one thing that we outlined from the get-go with the pod, that we won't forget anyone on it. So if we have, we apologise, but it wasn't for the one to try and if I have left out anyone, go on to Angus Seeley, don't go on to me, because that's where I'm reading the results from.
Yeah, and we had Pat O'Connor and Eddie Moffat as well. We're in their club, men with me and Leash Rally Club there. They had a great result as well. Got to the end, and it's good to see them down there too, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. What you kind of have you've done all connections, but you're down in Abbey Leaks. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, I'm from Abbey Leaks. Yeah,
you're from Abbey Leaks, so it's the other way.
Yeah, we're Abbey Leaks, so yeah, not too far from all of those Carlow events, and Leash event obviously is a big one. The Heartlands is obviously a big event down my way. So yeah, Abbey Leaks, but based in Dublin at the minute. So my business is in Dublin, so that's where I am at the moment.
Yeah, Process Networks, tell us about it.
Yes. So we supply sensors for water, wastewater. We do a lot of work in pharmaceutical companies, flow level, pressure. So yeah, rallying can be a good outlet for us to really get the name out there. And obviously this weekend we were chatting to some people and we can see them. And obviously it's we have Process Networks on the Darien as well, which is great to see. And yeah, look, I was on site this morning chatting for about half an hour to a guy in a dairy factory about the win. So it's a big part of everything we do, where we like to use it as a tool to advertise and really get more business. So yeah, our sensors business is pretty busy at the moment, thankfully.
Good stuff. And you would have got probably worldwide advertising as well, because I'd like to talk to you about those events over the last year and a half. That's okay. Like
Yeah.
You would have done Portugal is a big standout, WRC event, I'm sure. What have you enjoyed most about the last year and a half? What events have you enjoyed most? And, you know, what experiences have you taken from those alongside Porrick Duffy?
Huge experience. It's massive. Like, I mean, just doing European Championship events, World Championship events. I mean, the experience alone of one of those events is massive. The Rally de Roma Capital ERC is a fantastic event. Really enjoy it. And again, we went back to it this year. Unfortunately, we didn't get to the end. We clipped a barrier, but the first year that we did it, that was actually the first rally back when things actually opened up in Europe, and it was Rally de Roma Capital in July 2020, and we flew over to do that, and that was obviously a surreal experience. I think because it was such a strange experience where there was no other rallying going on, and that was the first one back, and that was a really good experience at the time. I remember William Crichton and Liam Regan, we were out as well, and it was nice to see all the guys, and obviously Callum and the guys were all out, so that was a good experience. But obviously doing any of the World Championship stuff, that's tough, and it's a lot of work for the co-driver and the driver. It's a lot of preparation beforehand, so they're just, the experience you get from them is huge. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And how do, like, apart from the surface and all, like, how do the events differ? Like, what's the love for the sport like in those different countries that you've been to? Is there any similarities here to Ireland whatsoever? Is it just worlds apart? Like, obviously the level is different too in some of those, but what are those differences and similarities that you've kind of found?
Yeah, so the passion for the rallying is second to none in Italy. Obviously, it's massive there, and Portuguese, they love their rallying. Spanish love their rallying. So I mean, in terms of when you turn up in these countries, they're huge fans, and in little small towns cheering you on. It's great to see. They love to see it coming down their roads. And in terms of the difference to here, I mean, look at they've really fast people, as we would here. It'd be the same, one of them coming over here and turning up to the likes of a Donegal or somewhere, and you have really fast people there as well. So I mean, you go to those countries, you've got really quick pace, so it allows you to gather experience both as a driver and a navigator, because you're up against some of the best. You've got the likes of Craig Breen and Andreas Mikkelsen and people like that, and obviously Callum Devine and Josh McErleen competing. These guys are extremely quick, and you learn a lot from them, from some of the guys that we've been over with, myself and Boric Duffy. So that's been really good as well, like working with Josh McErleen on certain things and just being able to get tips and tricks from the likes of those guys and Callum as well. So that's been very good. But yeah, the experience is huge. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so one of those things that we're going to bounce back to a little bit was, I mentioned Captain McCourt, how busy he was over the weekend, because we had the Bushwhacker obviously on Saturday as well, and Patrick O'Brien obviously went on to win that just narrowly over Captain McCourt, and then the next day he's down in Cork. So yeah. I don't know how you go about doing that. Like, lads are waiting a year and a half for an event, the next thing Captain's able to rock on and do two in the space 24 hours, which is serious going.
It's a good way to do it. Yeah, no, it's great to see a lot of work involved in doing that, a lot of travel and even just readjusting. So yeah, no, fair play. It's good to see. It's great to, I suppose when the events are back, you just want to get going at them again, don't you?
Yeah, sure, I suppose you get the itch, and I wouldn't like it down there myself, but we're kind of snookered. We obviously have a GA interest here as well inside in Carlow, and the county hurling finals are on the weekend, so if I didn't do them, would have been shot. I'm probably going to be shot for not being in Cork as well, but you know the story, there's plenty of hurling up in Abbey Leagues too, and there's a lot of passionate people about that, so it's hard to be everywhere, as the fella said. But just one other thing that kind of struck me, I did try to get Philip on No Joy a couple of months ago. He's been every bit as busy as you, probably busier, I suppose, over the last year and a half. I mean, he's covering serious ground too.
He's been extremely busy, busier obviously for sure than I've been turning up and obviously going to some of those events, but he's obviously had a lot of events in between. He's been doing a lot of work with Hyundai, obviously the R5 cars, and he's got a busy program in lots of different places at the minute, both in the States and with some work over there, and obviously throughout the European Championship events and then some of the WRC events. So yeah, no, it's pretty busy for him for sure.
The logistics of that must be crazy, and the manpower involved as well.
Yeah, no, and look at he takes it all in his stride and does it all, and makes it all look so easy for us turning up sometimes. So I wouldn't tell him that to his face now, but he makes it kind of easy, I suppose. But no, he does a great job and has a great team behind him with him, and that's good to see as well. And I think there's a lot of events coming up as well that I'm sure he'll have will be a lot busier for the next while too.
And just in terms of how he's built up that empire, so he was involved with M Sport, and then at what point did he come back and try and build up his own thing with PCRS? That's really after blossoming, and it seems to be in a very quick space of time. But obviously it's not, because he's been involved for so long, and that doesn't just happen overnight.
No, and I don't know exactly what year it was, but yeah, he was with M Sport, and then obviously came back and started his own business here, and that's gone really well. He'd probably go through it a lot better than I would on his side of things.
Sure, if we could only get Monster, we'd be right, wouldn't he?
yeah, so you're just gonna have to pester him for some of those answers. But yeah, he's busy, and that's good, and he's very helpful for me for different things as well. So obviously we get a lot done, but it's been good. He's been quite busy, which is good, and a lot of rallying has been on a pause in Ireland for a period of time, and it's been quite tough on a lot of companies that are involved with rallying for sure, and that's something as well that needs to be noted too, because that's their business. So I mean, if my business was stopped for a period of time, it would be quite tough. But it's these people are very resourceful, and obviously move with the times, and have luckily he's the one who's been quite busy, so that's really good to see.
Is there anything that you would have ever kind of considered yourself going down that route at any point, even when you were younger, following his footsteps?
No,
No
No,
interest.
I don't think so. No, I spent my time running around, helping out, of course, at different times. And actually, I was just thinking back. I actually worked on James's car years ago. You know, taking wheels off and helping out at service on the Darien back years ago. I remember actually have a picture on my phone of him winning Wexford when my brother was running them in Wexford one year. So no, not really. I did a bit of it, but obviously then I went other ways and got involved in other things. So, but yeah, he's built up a great thing, and obviously I use rally, and it's more of a hobby for me, but it's his business and his livelihood. So
Yeah, and the MY Rally Academy, I think, was he's very much involved with them. That's a lot of the events that guys have been involved in. He's been involved through that process as well in the last year and a half.
yeah, and that's a really good program. I mean, obviously it's getting some of the young talent in Ireland to see some and help them with development. And John Coyne's been doing a lot there, Sean McHugh and a few of them. So yeah, that's really good to see. You've got a lot of guys who are involved there. Callum and Josh McErleen is obviously busy with Hyundai, and he's obviously just announced there that he's doing Spain. Josh has as well. So
He was great
um,
in Belgium, wasn't he? He had a really good run, I think, in Belgium.
he had a really good run, and look at it's a big task for I see from myself and Porrick obviously being out there with on some of the events. You see the work behind the scenes that these guys put in. It's huge. They do a lot of work behind the scenes, and those results come on the back of it. So it's a credit to them that that there's a system in place as well that they're using as well. So that's really good to see.
It's been a mad week as well for Aaron Johnston. So him and Oliver Solberg split, and I think now he's going with Taka. So that's a big week, fairness to
That's
him.
it. Yeah. No, definitely, sure is.
Yeah, and I suppose just before we do let you go, because I know you've been very good with your time, we didn't think this episode was going to happen. We're under a lot of pressure in our own life here. We've a thing or two coming up on Thursday, and thanks for coming on and give us a dig out because we didn't think this was going to happen. So we're very, very grateful for you jumping on for the length of time that we do have you. But Mr. Breen, I don't know if you've been hearing much or little or whatever, but speculation is obviously rife. There's not really signs he'll deliver yet, but is that looking like it's going to happen? Do you think? Is he going with M Sport?
I wouldn't have a clue. I wouldn't be any good for any of that, Kevin. I wouldn't know what's going on there, but I'm sure there'll be somebody else that have a better insight into that now than I would. No, I don't know off the top of my head now what's going on there.
He can't
But
really do a whole lot more to
it'd
get
be
himself
great
a
if he
full-time
can
drive,
get
can he?
the full. He's great talent, so that'll be good to see.
He deserves it though. In all seriousness,
Absolutely,
he can't really do
yeah.
much more to justify it, can he?
No, for sure. And yeah, look, he's a talent, so that's good to see. If you can have some Irishman on the top steps.
And before we finish up, what's next? We have a few more events to get through. Obviously, the Harvest is coming up, Wexford, and there's a few more in the pipeline. So I take it you're going to be relatively busy.
For me, I'm doing WRC Spain actually with Porrick Duffy. So yeah, looking forward to that now. That's something that I'm planning for at the minute. So we're preparing to do that in a Hyundai. So been busy getting notes prepared and kind of chatting with what the plan is. And it's a full tarmac event this year, and it's based around Salou, Portaventura area. So yeah, that should be good. Unfortunately, I'll miss Wexford, but that's just the way it goes. So doing the WRC round in Spain will be really good. But yeah, so
You won't be able to
that should
defend your
be,
crown in Wexford.
not for me anyway, but I'm sure James has a plan anyway, so that'd be no problem to him. But as I say, look at if unfortunately we couldn't get James on, but if we could get James on, I'm sure he'll want to come on again. He definitely you need to keep hound him for a bit of time on sometime, because I think his insights, he's got so many years under his belt and such a good talent as well in the car. I mean, I think you really need to chat to him sometime. I'm sure he'd love to come on sometime. He loves a good interview, so he does.
Yeah, well, look, it's mad because lads do be afraid of me, and there's nothing to be afraid of at all. We're like lads, all we're short of now is a few pints in front of us. It's just pub talk, really, in the grand scheme of things, But it's nice to give the sport a bit of a profile too, and
Yeah.
that's what we're all about. But I'm not here to snooker anyone, and obviously we have handled very delicate topics in some of the episodes, Jeff. And I always try to be fair and reasonable with people. I don't take sides. We're here to be objective and to give everyone the opportunity to outline their view. So that's what it's all about, in my opinion. But
No, it's
no,
been
James.
enjoyable. There's one thing I do remember. We were flying over to Roma in 2020, and I was actually listening to on the plane your interview with Mick Cody. So that was interesting. I remember you'd just started the podcast at the time, I think, and that was when I was flying over. So it was interesting just listening to Mick, and Mick was one of the first people to ever show me time cards. So you can have a discussion with that sometime about that. So he was one of the first people I remember in a shed years ago in Castlecomer, him showing me some time cards. So it's good to be rallying with him again.
Pure character. We did touch base. He was sure. Look, we'll hang out to dry here now while we're at it. We were hoping to get him on this evening. I was going to go up to Comer and call into the corner house and the whole lot, which is great to see it working out from there because it was delayed and delayed and delayed. Now it's open, and actually, look, we'll go up to him again at some stage. But
I'm sure you'd have to have a live show there sometime and get a good crew in.
Just we could do indeed, absolutely. Once we have reasonably good Wi-Fi, and as possible, we'll definitely look to it. But I think a podcast with the modified men would be great, in particular, because like most of these modified lads are half cracked, like so. I think it'll be quite entertaining. In fairness.
Yeah, no, that's you need to definitely get James on sometime. I'm sure he'd love a good chat sometime about his exploits over the years. I'm sure he's plenty of stories he could tell a few.
Yeah, and I think just in general, like as a side note, and the co-drivers are a lot quicker to come on. You'd know they were used to talking. The drivers, a lot of them just want to drive, and the co-drivers are used to talking. And I think we've probably had more navigators on over the last couple of years than maybe we have drivers, as it's turned out. So, but yeah, I kind of understand that. Now you're kind of a bit of an exception to the rule. I'd have you in the Rory Kennedy bracket because you're cool and calm, but Cody and Nestor and these boys are wired to the moon, so you can see why they kind of live for it. But I suppose different strokes, different folks, like.
Yeah, no, that's it. Well, as I said to you, I only call the notes and hold on to the time cards. So I mean, the main man was doing the driving there at the weekend, and we won the national, so that was really good. But yeah, look, we try and just do the job, and that's really it. So not really. If the stories are good to hear, all right, but I mean the drivers are really doing a particularly good job there. So
yeah, well, the navigators aren't doing too bad either, and congratulations on the first win.
Thanks
It's a big thing for you, like, and I think we were just debating beforehand. It possibly is James's second national win, and if that's the case, there's 14 years between them, so that's quite phenomenal. And considering he had a couple of years off as well, it's something we should point out too, like.
Well, he's been years on top. He's been always very quick. If you look back, he's always been thereabouts, winning rallies over the years, and came back after an accident in Wexford, and that was obviously when I had the opportunity then to sit with him in Burr just in 2019, I believe. So, but he's been having some great results over the years and always has been thereabouts. If his name is on a list, you always knew that it was going to be you don't know what he could turn up and really cause a good surprise. And it was good to see Killian Duffy's live stuff as well from the weekend, and just seeing all the comments from people. I watched one of them back, and just everybody's excited to see James Stafford back, and we obviously used Killian's notes as well, so that was nice to see that as well. So there's always a buzz whenever he turns up, and he's got a really good crew, Wexford crew around him. So, with Shane and John, and there's a few of them there, Emmett and James. Like, he's a good tight crew, and obviously that's stands to him.
Yeah, and I suppose we give a shout out to On the Limit Sports as well, and Flying Finn, who we're down there on the limit. We're live. Flying Finn went live actually on stage as well, but obviously we're looking at their videos for a long time. So it's all the old bands are back together. It's nearly like the electric picnic of the rallying world. All these guys back, and it's fantastic to see. In fairness.
Yeah, it's great to see. Look at it. It's just really good to see the faces back, and obviously all of the people back who are doing what they love to do. So it's nice to be back in the sport we love to do.
Yeah, and obviously we're enjoying serving the purpose of the podcast as well, which was intended for. And it's only the last couple of months we got to do that. Imagine we went the whole year without doing an episode based on what we were supposed to be doing, apart from obviously yourself and the lads overseas, but the Island of Ireland stuff is what we were looking to cover. So thankfully we're up and going, and we're delighted as well. Jeff, thanks a million. You've been very good with your time, and best luck over in Spain. We'll chat to you again soon, all right?
Thank you very much, and I'd like to say best of luck to you this week. the big day. So best of luck with that as well. I know you're a busy man, so best of luck with that. But thanks for everything. It's great to be on. Thanks very much for your time.
Great stuff. Thanks a million, Jeff. We'll chat to you again soon. So just a reminder that the show is brought to you in association with FACT, the simply automatic choice for automation equipment. I think Kieran and the lads had a trade show up in Belfast there maybe last week. I seen it on social media. The website is nal.ie/products, but we thank them for their kind sponsorship once again. So that's where it is in terms of this episode. Don't forget you can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Irish Rally Pod. And don't forget to subscribe on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, wherever you watch or listen. And don't be afraid to get in touch and let us know what you think. Good, bad, or indifferent. We're all about the feedback. So that's where it's at. We're going to finish up live here. We'll work on getting the audio from the stream, and we'll get it up on Spotify and Apple ASAP. Until next time, take care.